Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Justin Charlton-Jones is an action coach based in North Buckinghamshire. He says that networking with other business owners is vital for his business, but he also has a great network within Action Coach too. Thank you very much for joining me on the podcast, Justin.
Well, I'm very, very pleased to be here, Liz. Thank you for inviting me.
Now, on your LinkedIn profile, you describe yourself as a business growth specialist. Is business coaching something you've always done? What has your career path been to date?
The short answer to that is it hasn't always been something that I've done. The long answer is that it's nevertheless it's not been dissimilar to what I've done in the past. So I had a slightly meandering career path when I first left university, and I ended up working in the city as an investment manager. And then after I stopped doing that, I moved on to marketing and for financial services for a high street bank. I then moved into their market research team. But then, having decided I didn't really want to work for a high street bank, I moved across to a big market research agency based up in Warwick, and then spent about 20 years doing market research. But it wasn't. It sort of sowed the seeds for what I do in terms of business coaching, because the type of research I was engaged in was not the sort of the social research that people often hear talked about in the news. Yeah. It was very much focused on large, usually business to consumer organizations, and I specialized in helping them to strengthen the relationship that they have with their audiences and their customers. So for 20 odd years, all of the research I was doing was designed to help my clients to optimize their advertising and their marketing communications, to optimize the customer experience, the product experience. And it was about new concept, new idea development. So there was a theme of me working with businesses to help them to improve and to grow, but in very focused areas. And at the same time that I was doing this work with my clients, I worked at a number of different companies, and I was managing director of 4 different independent research agencies. And so I acquired, obviously, personal experience of running a company. I attended Cleanfeed School of Management whilst I was doing one of those roles. And when I was looking to do something for myself, I, by sheer serendipity, started talking to somebody about business coaching, and suddenly realized that actually it fitted in extremely well with what I had been doing over the last 25 years in terms of running my own business and the experience, or running other people's businesses for them, but the experiences that I'd gained from doing that, the experience of helping my clients to grow their business through very specific areas. But also, of course, having run businesses, I had experience of all the major functions within a company, from HR to accounts to sales to marketing to general management, and so all of these things rather neatly fell together. And I decided that actually business coaching was an area where I could really take advantage of the experience I'd acquired over the last 25, 30 years. And an area, frankly, where my age would actually be a benefit rather than a disadvantage.
That's always a good thing, isn't it?
It is, yes.
So how long have you been with Action Coach?
I started with Action Coach about 2 years ago. So yes, just over 2 years now.
So tell me a bit more about Action Coach and how it works. So I believe you look after a particular geographical area. Is that right?
That's correct. So, but it's a little bit more flexible than that. So yes, as an action coach, most coaches have a specific territory, which is their sort of primary area for our sales and marketing. So I'm based primarily in North Buckinghamshire. But having said that, we are a lot of coaches, virtually every coach actually has clients who come from all over the country, because although we don't market outside of our territories, if we come across people through our own what we call circles of influence, so through meetings, people that we happen to know already, people that we might get referred to, we can still work with clients who are all over the country. So most action coaches don't just have clients in their immediate territory. They actually have quite a broad geographic span, because they've met people through networking, or, as I said, through their own circles of influence.
Yeah. And what was it that attracted you to Action Coach?
I was very impressed, first of all, by the setup that they had, the strength of their systems, and as I've looked into it more, because there's actually Action Coach are as keen to find the right people to join them as coaches as I was to make sure that it was going to be the right company for me.
Yeah.
So there's quite a long period of due diligence, and they interviewed me several times. They took up references, a lot of references, and I had the opportunity to find out more about them and to speak to a number of people who were also action coaches and to do my own research. And the more I looked at them, the more I felt that they actually had, first of all, a very strong proposition, but also the support that goes with it. And I often say to people that Action Coach is the most supportive business that I've ever worked in, and I'm including in that all the ones that I've run myself. So there is we have a fantastic coaching community. So if I have a particular issue that a client has raised with me, and it's perhaps something that I feel I could do with a bit of external advice from somebody else on as well, that my own experience doesn't necessarily sort of cover it, I can put something into our WhatsApp group, and within minutes I'll have responses from coaches all over the country offering advice and help and support. And then we have a phenomenal set of resources as well that are available to us online. So when I work with my clients, when any action coach works with their clients, really we liken the sort of the model to a three-legged stool. So my clients obviously know their own business extremely well, and there's no way that I could ever replicate the level of knowledge that they have of their sector and of their own company. Then I bring to it my own personal experience of running businesses, and then behind that, the third leg of the stool are the resources that Action Coach has available globally, and we have literally thousands of strategies and ideas and tools that are available to us online in order to assist our clients. And so I can very often just go and find things that I need at a couple of clicks of the mouse.
Yeah. And who are your clients? What kinds of businesses do you work with?
A very wide range. I don't think I have been in coaching long enough yet to really acquire a particular specialism in terms of sectors or situations of business. And so really my clients, as I said, are a very eclectic mix. And some of them are quite large companies turning over 7 figures and with 20 plus employees. And at the other end of the spectrum, I work with for want of a better word, one-man bands. So people who've set up on their own. And the great thing about the coaching programs that we have is that we do have programs that are suitable for every size of business. So I can work with one-man bands at one end of the spectrum, doing our group coaching programs, and at the other end of the spectrum, I've got one-to-one coaching, which is the majority of my clients with larger companies. But the interesting thing is that the only thing that all of these people have in common is attitude. So in order to work with somebody as a coach, clearly that person has to want to be coached.
Yeah.
And so typically my clients are people who know that they want to grow their business. They're ambitious for their business, but they're also sufficiently self-aware to realize that they probably need some help in order to actually push their business up to the next level.
Yeah.
They may well have grown a business quite successfully and reached a certain point, but actually are finding it hard to then move it on to the next step. Some of them are startups and they need help at a more sort of basic level. And I have a couple of clients who actually need my help because they are growing so quickly that they're completely out of their comfort zone and they don't know what to do. But as I said, the one thing they all have in common is this attitude, this desire to grow, and a willingness to make changes to their business and also to themselves, because it's very uncommon for me to start working with a business owner and for the business owner to not be at least one part of the barriers to growth within that business, simply because perhaps they have bad habits, or because perhaps they just don't know about certain things that they need to know about in order to continue the growth curve.
Yeah. And what sort of point in their business journey do you find that business owners come to you? Is there any kind of pattern to that?
Well, as I just said, no, it's actually it varies hugely. The key thing is that they've come to the realization that actually some help might be useful. That's the only sort of commonality about the journey. But no, I have businesses who are relatively new, that are very small, that only perhaps have one, two, three people in, and they obviously have a particular set of issues to contend with. Very often with those sorts of companies, it's all about really just generating a consistent cash flow to start with. Until they get the money into the business, there isn't really the opportunity to do very much else. So we'll focus very much there on the basics, making sure that their financial reporting's up to date, they've got a plan, they're managing their time, and then that they've got a good sales and marketing plan with relevant strategies that they can then implement to grow the business. Whereas at the other end of the spectrum, I come across quite big companies. They've got quite large teams, and they very often have very different issues. So typically they've come to me because perhaps they might have issues with their team. They might be struggling to recruit the right people or to retain them. They might want help to really get the company culture and environment working for them so that their team is firing on all cylinders. I have other clients who've come to me because they're specifically looking for an exit strategy. So they've had their business for a number of years. They want to sell up, but they don't really know what to do. And they also are aware that actually they will achieve more value from the sale if they have managed to extract themselves from the business before it's sold. Because the key problem that many business owners have is that they create a business of which they're an integral part. And so one of the things that we try to do is to help people to create a business that works without them.
Yes. Yeah.
And so for people who are looking for an exit strategy, it's all about making sure that the business is running as effectively and efficiently as possible, and that they are not an essential part of the day-to-day running of the business. So that if they were to sell it and to step back, the business would still have the same value to the new owner.
Yes. Yeah. Now, you mentioned networking a few minutes ago. How important is networking for you and your business?
It's absolutely crucial for my business. There are all sorts of, with having got a diploma in marketing many years ago, there are all sorts of models of how advertising and marketing work and how they influence people. These days, it's been sort of reduced to knowing, liking, and trusting. People will do business with you when they know you, they like you, and they trust you. And particularly for somebody like myself, a business coach, that trust is absolutely essential, because people are not going to start to engage with me, and in particular will not start to work with me unless they have an implicit trust in my ability to help them, and perhaps more importantly, my ability not to make things worse than they are. So networking from my perspective is absolutely ideal, because I actually get to meet people face to face. Sometimes it's on Zoom, but very often it's face to face. But you actually get to spend time talking to people, having conversations, and just really starting to know that person better. And so from my perspective, anything that allows me to talk to people and for them to really see the real me and what I do and to talk to me is invaluable.
And is networking something that you also encourage your clients to do?
Absolutely, for exactly the same reason. Obviously, it depends to some degree on what their service is that they're offering or the product that they're selling. But there are very few companies that wouldn't benefit from doing some form of networking. And so I actively encourage that as a strategy with most of my clients.
Yeah. And what kinds of events do you like to attend? Are they in person? Are they online? Do you like to do a mixture of things?
Um, I like a mix of things. I personally prefer the face-to-face meetings simply because you can get to know somebody a lot more quickly and in a lot more depth as a result of a face-to-face meeting than you can do over a computer, a Zoom meeting, or whatever it might happen to be. But having said that, obviously online meetings have masses of advantages in terms of time saving. So if I want to go to a face-to-face meeting, I might have to drive for anything from sort of half an hour to an hour to get there, and then come, and then drive back again. So it's sometimes a lot more convenient to meet online. So most of my networking is a mixture. So I have a number of networking events that I attend, which are almost exclusively online, and then I have a number of networking meetings and groups that I attend, which are almost exclusively face to face.
How did you find things during the pandemic when there wasn't that choice?
I think it was a massive learning curve. I mean, who would have known 2.5 years ago that so much business would be being done over Zoom meetings or Teams or whatever, as they say on the BBC, other networking events or systems are available. It was a complete change, and I think what was most encouraging about that period was the speed of adaptation. So the speed at which people actually suddenly made that switch to online rather than face to face, and and so effectively that obviously for a lot of people they simply haven't gone back to face meetings.
Do you have any top tips for networking that you'd like to share?
My top tip for networking is remember it's about them, not about you. So whilst obviously people do want to know what you do, they want to know a little bit about you, the best approach in networking is to really get other people to talk about themselves and about their businesses and what they're doing. So if I had any suggestion, it is ask lots and lots of questions. If you're serious about trying to establish a relationship with somebody, to build a connection with them, the best thing you can do is ask them lots of questions, and they'll get around to asking you questions as well. But you'll build their trust and their confidence, and you'll understand more about them more quickly by asking them questions.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. So just finally then, Justin, if people want to find out more about you or about Action Coach, what's the best place for them to find you?
Well, the best place to look for me is either on LinkedIn, Justin Charlton-Jones. If you type that in, there's only one of me on LinkedIn, you will find me. And then the other way to find me is either through my website or through the Action Coach website. So if you go onto the Action Coach website, just type in Action Coach UK, it'll say find a coach. And again, if you just type my name in, it'll take you to a page. There's the option to type my name in, just type in Justin Charlton-Jones and I will appear. Or you can go to my personal website. This is for my business. And that is again very simple. It's buckingham.actioncoach.co.uk. But or just Google me. Just search Justin Charlton-Jones and I'll come up.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much for being my guest today. And I hope to see you online at another networking event soon.
I hope so too, Liz. And thank you very much for inviting me along today. And I look forward to catching up with you at another event sometime soon.
Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.